From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Tuesday, November 14th. It's going to be almost identical to what we experienced yesterday in the weather department. Really cold start, but just slightly cooler today. Winds are going to shift to come out of the south with highs in the upper 50s to low 60s. And again, plenty of sunshine today. And we've been following breaking news this morning. Indianapolis police are trying to piece together how a man ended up shot to death on the Far East Side. It happened just before 4 this morning in a neighborhood near 10th and Mithofer. IMPD is now talking with family and checking the area for home surveillance video. A 17-year-old is in jail facing $400,000 bond this morning, charged as an adult after a shooting at Grand Park. Elijah Earl made his first court appearance yesterday to face 3 counts of attempted murder. He's accused of firing 3 rounds at a basketball coach in the parking lot of the Pacers Athletic Center earlier this month. News 8 obtained video from inside the building moments before the shooting. You can see that on wishtv.com, as well as some still images that show someone matching the prosecutor's description of Earl standing near the scores table and moving toward a door. According to the probable cause affidavit, Earl followed the coach, his wife and son outside after a scuffle during a youth game. The coach told investigators there was some kind of argument before Earl fired the shots. Police say they found 2 guns in Earl's home. Earl is due back in court on January 22nd. Firefighters say a local woman is lucky she's not hurt after an SUV slammed into her apartment in a motel in Castleton. It happened at the Super 8 on 82nd Street just before 6:30 last night. Firefighters tell us Jasmine Hochstetler was sitting on the couch when an Escalade came through the front wall. It sent debris across the room and took out a nearby staircase. Firefighters found Hochstetler covered in dust and debris, but otherwise okay. Firefighters had to help a teenager and 2 children down from a second-floor room because the staircase was out. Investigators say it appears to have been an accident, that the driver hit the throttle instead of the brake. They say the 4 men inside the SUV briefly left the scene but later came back. A local man tells IT Mate he's seeking legal action after Mooresville police handcuffed him during a dispute. Terrence Hood says during an argument over a handicapped parking space at a grocery cart, a man punched the window of the car Hood's wife and child were in and used racial slurs while yelling at her. The dispute ended up outside of the Mooresville police station. Officers came out when they heard yelling. The case has gotten added attention because Hood's video was broadcast live on Facebook. Mooresville police say about the situation that one of the participants was agitating the situation, so they detained him, then released him without charges. Governor Eric Holcomb is directing the Indiana Finance Authority to take over and expand a study about the Wabash River. Yesterday's order is a response to plans to use water in Tippecanoe County to support the $3 billion Lilly development in Boone County. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation was in charge of the study, which has faced growing opposition. Now, Holcomb wants the Finance Authority to add water monitoring devices along the Wabash to track usage and availability of water in real time. Holcomb says study results will be released in January. IT Mate's Richard Essex has followed this story extensively. You can catch up on the latest developments by going to wishtv.com and looking for these stories in the As Seen on Wish TV section of our website. A judge is now allowing IPS to sell 2 closed school buildings without first offering them to charter schools for $1. Both Raymond Brandes School 65 and Francis Bellamy School 102 closed last year. Indiana state law, known as the $1 law, requires districts to make buildings available to charter schools or state education institutions first. But the judge ruled in favor of IPS in this case, saying the district already agreed to share referendum funding with charter schools in 2021. It's not clear if the state plans to appeal the case. And today, thousands of visitors are preparing to march in Washington, D.C. in support of Israel. The Jewish Federation of Greater Indianapolis hosted a send-off yesterday from people here locally going to D.C. Students with the Haston Hebrew Academy waved flags and held signs for those headed to the Capitol. Crews in D.C. are already setting up American and Israeli flags along the march route and at a big stage there. Homeland Security is designating today's demonstration as a Level 1 security event, the highest of 5 categories. Meanwhile, doctors at Gaza's largest hospital are refusing a mandatory evacuation order from the Israeli Defense Forces. They warn 700 patients will die if left behind. Israel insists it's justified in taking military action around the hospital, saying Hamas is using it as cover. Some U.S. lawmakers are reiterating calls for an immediate ceasefire. Right now, Palestinians are waiting in line for hours for scarce bread and salty water. Trash is piling up and sewage is flooding the streets. The UN warns it will run out of fuel again by tomorrow, forcing it to halt most aid operations. In Congress, leaders from both sides of the aisle are signaling cooperation to head off a government shutdown. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries says his party is carefully reviewing the two-part proposal from new House Speaker Mike Johnson. It would fund some federal agencies until January 19th and others until February 2nd. Additional aid for Israel or Ukraine is not in the plan. Last night, Johnson said that he sees a path to get his plan passed in the House, even if some of his fellow Republicans balk at it. Most in the GOP caucus say the bill needs to be passed. Congress faces a midnight deadline on Friday to pass a funding plan. The Senate has signaled its willingness to accept Johnson's package if the House moves it forward. The Supreme Court is adopting a code of ethics. The move comes after a series of recent revelations about the practices of justices, including Clarence Thomas and his wife accepting travel and hospitality from conservative donors, and Justice Sonia Sotomayor prodding institutions to buy her books. All 9 justices agreed to the new code. Critics contend it does nothing because it sets no new standards, lacks any means for enforcement, and leaves compliance up to each justice. Secret Service agents opened fire trying to protect President Biden's granddaughter. The agents assigned to protect Naomi Biden were out late Sunday night in Washington. They say 3 people tried to break into an unmarked Secret Service SUV. The agents opened gunfire on the 3, but no one was hit. The suspects then sped off in a red car. Secret Service says police in D.C. are now searching for those suspects. In Monroe County, here in Indiana, deputies are looking for a Steinsville man accused of shooting his neighbor. Officials say a man showed up to a Bloomington hospital with a gunshot wound yesterday morning. Investigators say Brett Sherrill went onto the victim's property with a gun, argued with the man and shoved him, then fired after the victim tried to pepper spray him and ran off. Now investigators are trying to find Sherrill. Deputies say they consider him armed and dangerous. In South Bend, one man is in custody while police search for a second suspect accused of shooting a 12-year-old boy to death. Police say officers in Indianapolis arrested Nagamba White Jr. last Thursday on murder charges. Authorities are still looking for Amarian Cutler. He's charged with helping White and attempted murder. Police say the pair killed Josiah Small and wounded a 14-year-old last month. Police say anyone with information about where Cutler is asked to call them. In California, the son of a prominent Hollywood agent is facing charges for the death of his wife and in-laws. Police say body parts were found in Samuel Haskell's trash and in a nearby dumpster last week. Authorities say workers who were hired to haul garbage bags from Haskell's home called saying they found body parts in the bags. Officers then discovered blood inside the home and Haskell's wife and parents missing. Police are now waiting on test results to confirm whether the body parts belong to Haskell's wife. Haskell is the son of Sam Haskell, a former Hollywood agent and executive. Investigators now say someone set the massive interstate fire in Los Angeles on purpose. The damage threatens to cripple traffic there for days, possibly weeks to come. Authorities say they're trying to figure out who did it and why. California's governor says it's possible more than one person is involved. Investigators say flames broke out Saturday in 2 separate storage yards under the I-10. Crews are working to figure out how badly damaged the support structures and the road surfaces are, and if they can all be repaired or if it needs to be totally demolished and rebuilt. And today, the Pacers play in Philadelphia again. It's a second of rare back-to-back road games in the same arena. The 76ers are the top team in the East and riding an 8-game winning streak. Tonight's game tips off at 7 in Philadelphia. The game will see a different court than earlier this week since the matchup is part of the in-season tournament. The Purdue men's basketball team has its sights set on Hawaii after a 3rd consecutive win to start the season. Fans packed Mackey Arena last night to see the team take on Xavier. Purdue's Zach Edey once again dominated, recording his second double-double of the season already. Boilermakers win 83-71. Up next, a Maui Invitational opening round matchup against 11th-ranked Gonzaga Monday. This is Purdue's 4th appearance in the 8-team tournament, its first since 2014. Graham Rahal is keeping it in the family. The IndyCar star is our longtime driver analyst and just signed a long-term deal with Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. He'll drive alongside Christian Lundgaard and Pietro Fittipaldi as the team's full-time drivers for next year. The team had a terrible May for the Indy 500, but built real momentum toward the end of the season. Rahal earned the pole in 2 of the final 4 races and finished second on the IMS road course on Brickyard weekend. And to business headlines, a change in how the government estimates health insurance costs is expected to give a slight boost to inflation in October. The Consumer Price Index will be released today. In recent months, it's shown inflation isn't growing as fast as it was a year ago. Health insurance is at or near record high price levels. Jeep maker Stellantis is preparing to offer buyouts to roughly half of its U.S. white-collar employees. The Wall Street Journal reports the company's cutting expenses amid an expensive transition to electric vehicles and potentially higher labor costs. The company said the buyouts are being offered to assist workers who would like to separate or retire from the company to pursue other interests with a favorable package of benefits. Stellantis has a big operation in Kokomo. Lilly's experimental drug lowered the risk of heart disease by 94%. Findings from the phase 1 trial found that the highest dose reduced a heart disease-linked protein, which functions similarly to LDL, known as bad cholesterol, to undetectable levels for 48 weeks. This raises hope for people whose genetic makeup puts them at high risk for heart disease, but the drug does need more clinical testing. Discounts on gifts like electronics are expected to hit record highs this season. Samsung is offering lots of Black Friday deals early with major savings on 98-inch 4K TVs. There are also deals on Galaxy Books and smart tags. Major U.S. airlines and the Transportation Security Administration said they expect record air travel over the Thanksgiving holiday. Air travel, period. The TSA said in the 12-day period ending November 28th, it forecasts screening 30 million U.S. air passengers. Most Americans, about 49 million in total, are projected to drive at least 50 miles during the holiday weekend, spanning from November 22nd to November 26th, up more than 2% from last year. Motorists are expected to pay less this year for gas. That's some good news, prompting the big travel numbers. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.